We're talking about the latest as Israel is at war with Hamas, and we know this all began with that surprise attack by Hamas October 7th on Israel. Hundreds killed or wounded in that attack at the Nova Festival. Hilly Solomon was among those victims murdered, and her sister Tal joins us live now to talk more about her sister here. Thank you so much, Tal, for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
First off, can you start by telling me about your sister Hilly? We were looking at photos yesterday, and you were telling me some people did mistake you for twins.
Yes, that unfortunately is the truth. Unfortunately, not because of anything besides the fact that she was simply a force that I'm still struggling to understand how is no longer a part of my life. So I would like to ask for forgiveness in advance in case I refer to her in present tense, because I'm still dealing with the fact that she is in fact gone. Hilly was a beautiful, funny, smart, and incredibly caring person. She was 26 years old and 2 weeks shy of her 27th birthday, but she was mature beyond her years. She was raised in Israel and in Hong Kong. We grew up moving from one place to a lot because of my father's job, and that only brought us closer together. And so we sought a sense of community, one might say. We found comfort in each other, and she was my best friend first and foremost before anything else, before she was my blood relative and my sister. And she was a force. She dedicated her life to making others feel welcome, loved, beautiful, and unique through a small business that she started. And she wanted people, regardless of their ethnicity, of their gender, their sexual orientation, to love who they were. That was her life's mission. And she set such high goals for herself. She had high ambitions, and she wanted to shatter every glass ceiling. And she had her entire life ahead of her. And that's what's most heartbreaking about all of this.
What is your understanding of what happened to her and the other people that were there at the Nova Music Festival?
So from my understanding, the last time I saw her face-to-face was Friday night. She wasn't meant to go to the festival. This was a last-minute decision. But that's entirely who she is as a person. She wanted to conquer the world and seize whatever opportunities life brought her. She called me around 7:40 a.m. on Saturday morning, and that's when she shared that an hour earlier, missiles were fired in the direction of the festivals, and that she could see them from the sky. The festival was aborted suddenly, and that all the people that attended the festival didn't understand what was happening. And so her and her two friends that accompanied her, they made their way towards their car, and they started driving away from the festival and heading towards home. But shortly after they entered the car, a police car waved frantically for all the cars to turn back towards where they were driving from the festival. And that's when she and her friends saw vehicles packed with armed Hamas terrorists heading straight towards them and starting shooting everyone in their way. They had to abandon their car, just like everyone else, and run for their lives in the forest. And my sister then said that there were people that were injured, that were splattered across the road. There were bodies of casualties across the field. And she said that she had a low battery. And so I told her to save whatever battery she had left and to stay in touch. It was still at this point where we had no idea the extent and the severity of what was unraveling. I told her to call me back and update me, and of course come over to my house so that she could rest after running away from whatever it was that was chasing after them. Now I understand how ridiculous that was. She called me back about 30 minutes after that, and she sounded much worse. She was hyperventilating and vomiting in the middle of a panic attack. She said it felt as though she was in the Holocaust, that she was running in the field, hiding from people who were shooting at her. And then at this point, I could hear all the shooting in the background. She said that she could hear them getting closer and that she didn't know what to do. and you could hear the fear in her voice. She told me that she loved me, and I told her that I loved her too. I don't know if you heard that. That was Iron Dome just now. That was my dog barking because Iron Dome just stopped a missile from airing right above our heads.
If you need to get to a shelter, let me know.
Thank you. Unfortunately, this is the reality that we have to deal with. And so the most important thing is that my sister told me that she loved me, and I told her that I loved her too, and that I'll see her soon. And that was the last time that we ever spoke. I later found out through her friend what had happened to her, that after our conversation, she was in the middle of a panic attack and she couldn't run anymore. A grenade was thrown in their way. And so her friend had to physically pick her up and run towards a vehicle where they were hiding underneath. They laid there pretending to be dead, motionless, and just praying for someone to come and rescue them. And it was at that point that Hamas terrorists came and ensured that they were in fact dead and shot them. And that's how she met her death, is by hiding unarmed, hopeless, alone, just scared for her life. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her. And that was the last I heard of what happened to her.
Several families have said that there was a lot of confusion at first. They were told different things about what happened to their family members, what hospitals they were in. Was that your experience as well, or did you know at that point that your sister had been taken from you?
Confusion is a huge understatement. We scouted hospital beds trying to find my sister. We showed her birthmarks and tattoos to nurses, begging them to look again inside surgery rooms, just in case they've seen her, but they were unaware because maybe she came in and for some reason was unconscious. This was still when we didn't know what had happened to her. And to this day, we still don't know when she was pulled away from the scene, where she was injured, or how she was found. I know families that found their loved ones were murdered because the Hamas posted videos of their death on social media, on the murdered people's Facebook accounts. They took their phones and live streamed their death. I'm also familiar with people who have found out that their loved ones were taken hostage via social media as well. There's a lot that we don't know, but what's most important right now is for us to get our hostages back, to get people back to their homes. So while we would love to know what happened to my little sister, and we have so many questions in our mind still, what's most important is that we get our people back home safe.
I was just thinking about what you had said about the Iron Dome. When you hear those missiles being intercepted by it, what is that like? Because right now, that is kind of day-to-day life for you. It's almost an everyday occurrence, as you mentioned. What goes through your mind when you are hearing that sound? Because obviously, you know exactly what that sound is.
Unfortunately, it's something that we've grown accustomed to. As horrible as it sounds, this is our reality. This is something that we've been screaming from the top of our lungs for years now, is the fact that we are dealing with terrorists who would like nothing more than to see us completely get rid of, not just from this country, not just from this land, but from this world. And we've been seeing such atrocities of what's been happening to people all around us that it's so ridiculous to say that the missiles, quite literally right above my head at any given moment, are the least of our issues. I've seen videos of decapitated babies and burned family members and executed elderly and Holocaust survivors. We've seen such atrocities that this doesn't even begin to explain what we have to deal with on a daily basis simply for existing.
My last question for you here. You've seen a lot of the videos. You're looking at it right now live in Gaza. You're obviously over in Israel as everything is continuing here. Do the pictures, the videos, do they really capture the severity of of what you're dealing with? Because you can only show so much in these images. I imagine it's got to be so different to actually be there and see this firsthand unfolding right there before your eyes.
I don't know what videos and photos are allowed to even be aired on public television, but I can assure you that everything that has been seen, even what has been seen by the dark web, it is just a fraction of what we know. There are still hostages being tortured to this very moment, and they're going through unimaginable things that they'll never be able to recover from. And using social media to both celebrate these inhumane acts of terror and while attempting to evoke the world's sympathy, that's something that it's not humane by any means. It's monstrous. And I think that there are a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration when it comes to war. First and foremost is who is on either sides. And when you come to think of how this all began, it began with a terror attack on innocent civilians who did nothing. All they did was celebrate a Jewish holiday, finish it with a festival of peace. And the people who were the civilians who were living in the nearby small towns, they were enjoying their Shabbat, their Saturday, their weekend, just like everyone else. They were getting up in the morning. They mapped out their day. They were planning to have breakfast with their children. The things that they had to endure. One of the most hideous stories that I've personally heard and seen on the news is that a child, was pulled away from his family while he was in his home, and he was asked to go knocking on different shelter doors and asking different Israelis to open up the door. He was begging them to open them because he had a gun to his head at that point. And he knew that his family would die unless he would beg those other families in Hebrew to open their doors and to let him in. And of course, he couldn't expose the fact that there was a terrorist standing right behind him. And as those doors were shut open, everyone in those shelters died. So they're using us against our own. Who does that? What have we come to? What has this world come to that this is what we have to protect ourselves from? Hamas is ISIS in every single way. And it's something that I genuinely hope the world will finally come to realize. And we've seen the support. We've seen the global support that we've been receiving. And it's something that we hold dear to our hearts. And it lets us believe that we are doing the right thing and trying to protect the world from these hideous acts. No one needs to endure anymore, and no one will.
Tal, thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing your sister's story. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Yes, please. I would like to say that we appreciate the strong show of support the United States and our European allies, as well as other nations, have given us, and that they trust us to do what is right to help make this world a better place. And to all the Israeli soldiers and police officers and everyone and the families that have been evacuated from their homes, we love you. We are waiting for you at home. You have our full support to protect our nation and the rest of the world. And this goes out to everyone at home, whether you support us, whether you don't, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings. Please call your loved ones and let them know that you love them, because you really don't know when that last time might be. Mine was on Saturday, October 7th. My best friend was gone. Please tell your family you love them.
Tal, thank you so much for sharing your story. I appreciate it, and please be safe.
Thank you.